Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll kind of just get right into it, man. I mean, I had the a ton of questions written down. I came across your channel uh, last week, and
Yeah.
obviously for both of us being in the SMMA space, it's just I love to connect with people that are like-minded. I'm always curious as to how they get to where they are, and we can just have a conversation about it, bro. But if you want to, man, go ahead and introduce yourself, and if people don't know who you are, kind of give a brief introduction, and I'll get to the questions I got for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, first and foremost, glad to have the invite. So yeah, to those who don't know me, my name is Sebastian. I'm currently 20 years old and I live in Denmark. So I've been doing SMMA for what is it now, like 20 months almost. Obviously, I made the YouTube video that kind of popped off where I said 18 months. So I think it's around like 18 to 20 months. So currently we are doing around so January actually the biggest month ever. So hit the first 40K in the agency revenue. So that's pretty
Nice.
sick. Yeah, the past year we have done like this year, 2022, we did around 250K with 200K profit. So that's obviously quite sick. So yeah, now we're just scaling it up, and then hopefully this year I'm gonna move out of Denmark for mainly tax reasons, which I bet we can get into more details regarding. So yeah, it's been
Hmm.
quite a journey, and yeah, Denmark is a country with a lot of people in SMMA. So yeah, I just decided to do it like everybody else, and turned out pretty well.
Nice, dude. Yeah, it sounds like it, bro. 40K, that's huge. So I want to, I maybe you touched on it a little bit, but I want to get into how you started SMMA. For me, it was just like I ran across like it was just a huge YouTube trend. So it was like everybody was like kind of like the get rich quick scheme, right? With Iman Godzi and all this, all those
Yeah,
guys, and I was just like, man, I want to be like that. But then you quickly find out it's like it's not like that. It's a grind. It's an absolute
yeah.
grind, and a lot of people will quit before they make their first dollar. But how did you get started? And can you talk about that process of like landing your first client? What was that like? And just kind of how you continued on from that.
Yeah, yeah, great question. So, I think I was quite like you as well. Obviously, I was when I started, I was playing a lot of video games. I've always been into kind of gaming. So I was playing a lot of soccer before I started with gaming, and then I got injured. I basically fell while skiing, and I couldn't really play football or soccer. So I got into gaming, and then gaming took over. So I was always like in the room grinding, and then I think I did pretty much like you. I fell over this YouTube ad from a guy who basically said, SMMA. He was like, you can make a lot of money, and you
Hmm.
always in the start you're like, oh, this is a scam for sure. This is a
Yeah,
scam,
yeah.
and then I kind of my curiosity kind of took over. So I started like looking into the guy's YouTube channel. I saw a lot of these videos that he were making with people in Denmark doing like maybe 10K. And I was like, this is insane. There's no way you can do that and earn 10K. So I took his course, and I think, okay, it cost like 1500. So I was like, okay,
Hmm.
maybe I lose the 1500. It's worth a try. And I always been as a person, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try, just gonna give it a go, and then we'll
Hmm.
see where it goes. So I started getting into it. I started learning the business, and I was even left wondering and with a bigger headache. Like I didn't really know what to do, didn't really know how to get into it. Didn't really. I understood the business, but I didn't really know how to get clients. So I started in my local area. I think 90% of people do that. Got a bit of clients, the free trial ones, as we go
Hmm.
through, and then I basically scaled it to around like 40K or 4K, sorry. Um, and then I lost all my clients because they were local clients. And that's really when I decided to say, okay, this is now or never. So I got into more courses, and that's really
Hmm.
where it took off, which I'm sure we could get into a bit more. But I was kind of in the beginner stage, didn't really know what to do. So I think I was kind of where most people are when they just start out, like confused, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear more about getting into more of those courses. I mean, if you don't mind sharing, what were those courses, and how did they end up, contributing to your 40K month this month?
Yeah. So basically, I decided that okay, I need to invest in the people that I know from the Danish community. So a lot of them, they saw that they could make a lot of money from courses, so they decided to do some coaching. And I was kind of blown away because I knew these guys were making a lot of money. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pay what they ask for because I just need to learn from the best. And I think that's really the mentality you need to have as a beginner. You need to find people that are the best inside the niche or the area you want to be in, and you need to kind of learn from them. So I decided to do that. The course I don't even think exists now. The coaching part doesn't, at least. So I invested in that, and that's where it kind of blew up, because I realized that what I was told from the first guy, who was very much like Iman Gadzhi copyright, the mindset, the grind with mindset and stuff, which I totally respect. I realized by now, okay, these guys are not meditating. These guys are not reading books. They're working. So it kind of went up for me that, okay, I get it why I don't have any success now. I'm meditating while they're working. So I started learning that the good part about outreach. I started learning how important it is. I started learning that numbers is the game. I started learning about having clients outside of Denmark. That's really where it took off, when I decided to go away from Denmark, because in Denmark you can't compete, because in Denmark 90% of people in SMMA, they offer their service for free, and here I come as a 20-year-old and I need $1,500 per month, right? So people obviously don't want to pick me. So I decided to go away from Denmark, basically on the help of my coach. So he kind of told me, listen, you're wasting so much time on a daily basis. You're doing all these nonsense. You're doing all this bull. Just cut it out and just do what you know you need to do. Find clients, reach out to them, and do that all the time, every single day. And eventually it's just a snowball. So I started doing that, and then a month went by, no replies. And I was like, what the is going on? Like, what is happening? Why don't I get any replies? And I think a lot of people is into that. But then suddenly, boom, I just hit a whale. What I call a whale is basically a $5K client. I've spoken about this on my TikTok as well. Is that I just hit like a insane client. This client was from Norway, and they just said, yeah, let's have a call. Jumped on a call with them. They were making like 80K a month, which is a lot for a guy that's never had a client, basically. So I kind of closed that client, and it eventually led me to making 5K from one client. And then the week later, I closed another one. I closed two, actually, the week later. And just like that, I was like at 10, 15K with just doing what I knew I was told to do. So I think I kind of realized that SMMA is just like any other business model. The more you do, the more you work, the higher the chance is to actually like scale. So that's also how I scaled. I eventually learned by a coach who's one of my friends now, that I needed to just do the work eventually, because like I think everybody knows that outreach is the only way to get clients, but people always seek for this golden way of doing it without having to work, right? So I think I just realized that I needed to essentially do what I know and knew at that time would give me clients, but I was just kind of pushing it out of the way, just hoping that somehow by meditating I would get clients. So yeah, that's pretty much how. And then since then I've taken a lot of courses, and I'm at a point now where I think, and it's not to sell out anyone or something, but I think just now I'm at a point where there's not really any courses I can take in terms of SMMA that would learn me anymore. Now it's more like building a brand and building a business courses I would be investing in. So that's also why I'm building a personal brand, as well as just how can I build my own brand and how can I build the business up to a brand. That's really the courses I would invest in at my stage. So I've invested a lot of dumb money, and looking back at it, I could probably have saved a ton of it. But you invest and you learn, and that's the most important thing in this game, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like what you said about a lot of people will, take the courses and they'll, watch the YouTube videos and they'll watch people like, you and I, but they'll never take action. And people who take action but don't see results and still fall in love with the journey are dangerous people. I was obsessed. Like, I was obsessed with outreach because, dude, I wasn't getting any clients. I was just like, I was enjoying the process of like sitting down at my computer and like at the time manually sending emails. Like, you know what I mean? I was like manually
Yeah.
sending like 30 to 40 emails a day for my business email, which if you're watching is a terrible idea. Don't do that.
Yeah,
But like,
it is.
you know, if you fall in love with the process, it's like you're a dangerous person and you're gonna succeed. And that's just the way.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it is. But
Yeah.
you know, I want to know more a little bit about your agency. So what, you know, from what you're doing right now, and maybe you can talk on where you've come from and where you are now. But like, you know, for me, when I started my agency, I was offering pretty much just social media management, and now it's kind of evolved into email marketing, ads, different things like that. Can you speak a little bit on, you know, some services that you offer? Maybe it's one, maybe it's a couple, and then like some advice for people that are trying to get into, you know, doing that service as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I started like also a bit like you, but I started just offering Facebook and Instagram ads, um, like the 4,000 others in Denmark. So I was
Mm-hmm.
very, very quickly, I realized that I'm not going to be able to compete with 90% of people if they're offering their service for free. They're basically doing the same as me, but for free. There's no chance I can get paid in Denmark if I do the same. So I quickly realized that okay, the game of the business is to, or the game of the, basically the whole part of the game is to be different. If you can be different, it doesn't matter how much competition there are. It doesn't matter how many people get into SMMA. If you have a different offer, you're gonna get success because you seem unique. So I decided that okay, this year is really, last year 2022 is really where I pushed the boundaries. So we often saw when we onboarded clients that if they needed to do TikTok ads, we would have to find a second part agency and they would have to do it. So what we basically realized is that a lot of the time the client are having 5 agencies, maybe if they're doing omni-channel. And that
Mm-hmm.
leaves them with 5 different strategies, which in the end can cause your brand identity. And for those who don't know, I primarily work with e-com brands. So obviously brand identity and building a brand is the only success standing out in this red ocean. So we often realize that if we were to really be unique, be very, very transparent, and be able to charge our clients a lot of money, we would need to have kind of an agency that could do everything. So you could hire one agency and you would not have to think about, do we need a Google Ads agency? Do we need an email marketing agency? So I realized that 90% of the big players in the game, especially in Denmark, they were doing Facebook, Instagram ads, and then they had partners doing maybe TikTok or Google. So I realized, what if I could hire in a team, or what if I could learn it myself to do everything, and I could still take the same price as the best in the game would do just for Facebook and Instagram. So I realized that nobody was doing it. So I started looking into it. Okay, what do I need to learn? So I learned TikTok, Snapchat, eventually kind of same setup as Facebook. So if you know Facebook, it's kind of easy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Then Pinterest, I was lucky enough that one of my previous clients wanted me to try. So I tried doing Pinterest and I just learned the algorithm. I basically learned how to do it myself. Email, I started learning a bit by doing it as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously Facebook, Instagram, I already did. So essentially now we are what we call an all-in-one marketing agency. And then there's going to be people saying, oh, so you're not an expert. So essentially our field of work is that we are experts in funnel execution. What that means is that instead of having a funnel on Facebook, a funnel on TikTok, a funnel on Snapchat, you basically have a funnel based on your business, which allows us to maybe make a funnel where TikTok is top of funnel and like Facebook is retargeting, and then we have email that's upsell, and then we have Google that's a bit more middle funnel. So we basically execute on behalf of the business. So that allows us to essentially be, firstly, a closer partner to the business because we are an essential part of them growing their brand. We are essential part of them actually getting success, which also allows us to charge more because we're doing more for the brand. It allows us to take a bigger cut of their revenue because we're basically generating the whole revenue. So before I was kind of one of many. Now I'm kind of, I haven't heard about anyone else doing it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people is like expert in one field, and then if you need others, you would have to pay 2K more per agency. Whereas what I do now is we just take a small retainer. So our average retainer is like anywhere from $750 to $2K. And then we take a very, very large cut of your revenue. So essentially what we do is we take like 10 to 15% above your benchmark. So we can now take on brands where we only charge them 1,500, but let's say we double their revenue because we have such a good system. So we take them from 50K to 100K. We take 10% of 50K, we're making 5K per client, right? So we just realized that we can build a system and we can build an agency where 5 clients and 5 very good clients can be a lot of money worth, instead of having this agency where you have, let's say, 20 low ticket service businesses or 20 low ticket e-com businesses, where in the end you don't know if the other agency you're working alongside are actually offering them your service, so you'll just be thrown away. Where here I can come in, I can say no matter if they're doing Facebook ads or not, I can give them a ROAS guarantee, I can give them a back-end guarantee, and I can tell them, listen, why do you want to pay that agency $1,500 when we can come in and do everything for you for the same price? The only thing we need is a performance fee. So if you go up, we go up, and if you go down, we go down. So it's just like I have just made it now an agency where every single client is saying, wow, how is this making sense? Like this is so, it's a no-brainer, right? Because they don't have to pay for 5 different agencies and they don't have to worry about 5 different strategies. So that's essentially how our agency is structured now. So I have a media buyer, he's doing all the paid socials and the Google. And then me as I'm still doing a bit, but I'm more like a brand person. I like to build brands. I also have my own e-com brand, for example. So I kind of like to build brands. So I'm more of an internal guy, focusing on organic strategy, focusing on email flows, focusing on CRO. So we kind of help our clients with everything, and it's kind of coming in as a consulting, but also as kind of a 50-50 partner. So yeah, that's why we have such a great success. And also one of the things that made us change is that like 90% of the brand you're offering Facebook and Instagram to, they don't have the money to basically do it. If they want to do Facebook and Instagram, they need ad spend, they need to do your fee as well. Whereas here, we just tell them, listen, we start very slow. You only have to pay us 750 and 10% above your benchmark. So it's not a big cost if we don't scale you. And then as we scale them, which eventually we do, we get more money, we get more ad spend, and you can see how it goes up. So now we're onboarding clients that are making like 10, 15K, because if we can in 6 months time scale them to, let's say, 50, 100K, we're making quite a lot. 10% of 80K in extra revenue is 8K per client. So I just feel like we have a system now that allows us to onboard both big clients but also small clients, which were kind of what I was struggling with when I only did Facebook, because I wanted to take a high fee and I also wanted the client to spend a lot of money on ads, which eventually don't figure together if 90% of the brands in e-com is doing less than 25K, right? So yeah, that's eventually how we have evolved our agency. And I also think for people that want to get into SMMA, I'm saying this to everybody on my YouTube channel and also in my Discord group, is that if you want to get a head start, make sure that you're different, because if you're different, you're gonna be easier to buy into. If you're doing the same as everybody else, you're not unique. It's the same. He could pick anyone from the red ocean. Whereas if you just do something different, you're just a little bit different, it's gonna make way more sense for the business owner to pick you. So I think the best thing you can do when you're starting out is make a better offer than everybody else. Try and stand out. Try and do a service that's not just the average Facebook, Instagram ads, which eventually everybody is starting with because it's the easiest. So I think, like, obviously, I always say this to my people as well, is that learn the service. If you don't know the service, you're going to have a hard time. That's just my opinion. I think you're going to have a hard time scaling it, at least if you're, like, prepared for just hiring a contractor from India or something where you don't communicate. So yeah, I think the best thing you can do as a beginner is firstly learn a service where it's quite unique, do a unique approach, and stand out. The only way for you to get success in a red ocean is to stand out, really. So yeah, that's how we have evolved our kind of offer and brand now. So it's working quite well, and it just allows us to onboard clients that are small but still will be a big client eventually. And that's ideally the business model you want, right? You want to be able to onboard every single client you're on a call with. So yeah, now we basically, if we get a discovery call, it doesn't really matter how much they're making per month, because everybody can afford a 750 retainer and 10% over a benchmark. And eventually, if we know we can scale them, then there's no reason not to onboard them for us, right? So I think it's the same as you say with the process. If you love the process, just duplicate that into your service, because I love the process of seeing a client going from 10K to 50K and seeing how happy they are. And they are actually saying we should be paying you guys more than 4K. But it's like 4K is a lot of money for a client, right? So it's just that process duplicate it into your service. Don't think about the money now and here, which is essentially what I did. Whereas now I onboard a client, like we onboarded one yesterday, for example. It's a small client only doing like 7K USD, but it's like they have a super good brand. They have a great company structure. And it's like, I know if we can get them to make the right creatives, we can do our bit of magic internally. This client is going to make like 40K inside the next 4 months. So why wouldn't I take them on board, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just that process that you're also speaking about, constantly loving that is really going to be the key for you as a new person in SMMA.
Absolutely. Yeah. But man, tons of value, bro. I mean, it sounds like you've got your stuff figured out. So, congrats on all the success. I mean, it's huge. I'm looking forward to seeing it in the future. What, a lot of the people in SMMA wonder about outreach. They're like, they have people that tell them to do Upwork. They have people that tell them to do cold email. They have people that say, don't do any of that. Just run ads for your agency. And my whole perspective on it is like, do what works for you. Because everybody has gotten, like there's gurus that have only gotten clients from DMs or cold email or Upwork or, like an email funnel, things like that. So what has worked for you and where are you now? And like, what's your process of outreach now and how have you been able to systemize that?
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And I think I'm a good example of it. I started doing Facebook and Instagram outreach, worked for me, great. Then I started doing more of a Facebook, Instagram Loom request. So kind of like, hey, fell over your ads. Can I send over a Loom just explaining how you could optimize this and get better performance? And then book them in on the call after they have watched the Loom. And now we're doing cold email and also like ads for our agency. And I think this is also what I'm saying for everybody is that I always compare outreach to kind of, and this might sound a bit weird, but kind of people who is begging on the street. Like, because they could have the dumbest sign with them, but eventually they're going to get money from people, right? And I think it's kind of the same as outreach. You can have the dumbest script, you can have the worst offer in the world, you can have the worst cold call script, but eventually if you do enough of it, eventually there's somebody that's going to jump on. So I think it's really just about like doing something instead of thinking that, oh, I should listen to this guru, I should listen to that guru, I should do this and I should do that. Just do what you know you need to do and do what you really can in this given situation. And that's also what I'm saying to the people I help out in my course is that, like, don't worry so much about the script. Don't worry so much about if you should do cold email or if you should do DMs. Just do one of them and then just do it a lot of times. And then you can look at the results after you have sent maybe like 1,000 or 2,000. So I think personally, I started with DM, then we went to a bit of a Loom request and then email. And I always said to myself, I'm just going to do what I know I can do. And eventually I didn't believe in email, so I didn't do email. And I didn't understand email as well. So I just did Loom because I knew how to make a video and I knew how to sound like impressive and about something I know. So I did that. I closed clients. And then I basically had a guy reaching out to me who's now a part of the team. And he said that he could like set up the emails for me. I wouldn't have to do anything. He would answer everything. I would just have to show up to the calls. And I was like, okay, let me try this. It's really, really cheap. So I'm just going to try that. And now we're booking like 20, 40 meetings basically with that. And then now it's more, as I also said in the start, more of a brand building. And the best way to build your brand is to do like maybe a bit of ads. So now we're doing more of ads approach where we're both booking them in directly, and then more of a case study, sign up to a case study, and then the email flows. So I think it's all about when you're at that 10, 15K month, then start to build more into an internal phase. So start getting more and more data on your customers, start owning their data because it's going to be harder as more and more people do outreach. But luckily for me, we still have an insane offer, which is also why we have such good success with email. So yeah, I think the best thing you can do as a beginner is just do some of it. Like just do one of them. Don't think too much about it. Don't sit and worry about it for a month and then suddenly you don't want to do outreach. As soon as you know a bit more about service delivery, find the ideal client you want to work with and then just do something. Like you never know. And that's also what I say to most people is that you never know if this person is gonna answer you. And that's also what I love about outreach, as you also said, is the whole process of, is this lead going to answer me? It's kind of a funny experience, and you're kind of always, you're always ready for that email. Like every time I get an email, I'm always checking, because I'm like, what if this is a client, right? So I think if you can fall in love with that feeling of never knowing if this lead is going to be a client, you're gonna have an easy time doing outreach. And that's also why now, like, I don't really work now, to be honest. Like, the most thing I'm doing is strategy planning for the agency. And people say to me, oh, you're working 10 hours a day. But the most thing I'm doing is just strategic planning, where I'm like, this is not work. If you have tried to do outreach 100, 200 times a day, that's work. This is not work. This is just, I normally say I'm already like free. I don't have to do anything. I'm financially independent. That's how I feel. Like, I'm not saying I am, but it's like when you've done the hard work, everybody and everything else feels like light work, really. And that's also what I'm saying. If you want to like really do the hard work, just try and wake up at 5 a.m. and do outreach before you go to school. Do that for 3 months, and I promise you, everything else is gonna feel like it's super, super easy, really. Because I did that for 3 months, and now, like, okay, I might have to take 5 client calls. It's like work. I might not want to, but it's like, it's not outreach, so at least it's better than that, you know. So yeah, I think you can learn a lot by outreach. I think it's one of those things that you just need to do, and the ones that stick with it are gonna get success, and the ones that give up and think about the outreach script constantly changing it, you might as well just stop, in my opinion. I used the same exact outreach script for the Loom request for 12 months. Like, for 12 months, I did the same script, and there were like weeks where I didn't get answers. There were months where I didn't get answers, but I just did it because I know eventually there's somebody that's going to say yes, and I need to be ready when they say yes, so I can make that Loom, and so I can actually close that client. And it allowed me to go from basically the 4K that I was at to the 15K that I were making inside 3 months, right? So I think it's just about doing something, really. That's my biggest advice for anybody, whether it's this business model or another business model or your personal life or the gym. Just do something. It's better to do something than to do nothing. That's really how I learned it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I love, that whole, you do what you love and you never work a day in your life. And it sounds like you've achieved that at 20 years old, which is crazy. So congratulations. But man, for someone that's getting into SMMA in 2023, what is one piece of advice, and maybe you've touched on it already, but if you want to kind of reemphasize, if somebody came to you and said, Sebastian, I want to start in SMMA and I want to scale it from 0 to 10K this year, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I'm not saying I'm famous, but after my video blew up on YouTube, the one with 18 months, I think like I got 20 DMs every single day the next 5 days. And the main question was always, what should I do? Because like everybody, I get the
same ones, bro.
Exactly. Like everybody is so, they don't really know what to do. And I say the same thing all the time. Find a business model you like. And now in this case, it's SMMA. Now you need to obviously know a bit more about it. But like everybody can do social media management, right? Everybody can do social media management. So I say, if you don't have the capital to invest, you can obviously use YouTube. I always say to people, if you want to save money, then you can use YouTube, because it's going to take time. If you want to save time by investing money, you can do a course. That's really the first question you need to ask yourself. Do I have the capital, and do I want to save time or money? Once you know that, you need to pick one of them. YouTube is a great platform. We have people like you and I, where we're basically giving free value on how to start. Start with people like this. Start with watching those types of videos, getting impressions. And then I would suggest don't follow too many, because you and I have different opinions. And if you're trying to combine them, you might not get the best results. Just stick with one of us. Either it can be me, it can be another, it can be Iman, it can be whatever. But stick with one person that you know is successful, and then do what he says, because then you're 100% certain that you're going to at least kind of take his path. Then obviously just do what you know is going to get your clients. If you don't know what to do, just do outreach, really. Like, if you don't know anything about anything, if you want to make money, you need to do the work that eventually creates money. And I always call it money-making task. It's like doing cold call, doing outreach, doing follow-ups, doing all these types of tasks that is going to make you money eventually. And don't do a lot of research. That's probably my biggest advice. Don't think that you need to use a year researching the market and researching your competitors and researching this and that. Research do not mean anything. Like, it's really not that important. So I think it's really just about, I bet 90% of SMMA people, they have heard about SMMA. They kind of know what to do, really. If I ask them, like, and this sounds really, really insane, but if I ask them, your mom is going to die if you cannot tell me what you need to do, 90% of them, they would know what to do, right? But it's like, it's always that mind, it's always your mind saying, what if this guy knows a secret that I don't know and he can give me clients without me working? And that's always what you're seeking after. You're always searching on YouTube, best outreach script in SMMA. You're always hoping that you find suddenly a AI software that maybe can give you free clients without you doing anything, right? So I think it's just like, if you can just take the first step, and that's eventually just doing the work and doing eventually what you know you need to do, I think you're already way ahead than everybody else. And that's also why I kind of made my course, is because there's so many people, they overthink things, whereas I could make a course and it would be so straightforward and people would actually do it because they know I'm making money. Whereas if other people that were not making money were told them what to do, they would not do it. So I think you really just need to admit to yourself that you are not going to get success if you don't do the work. And the best advice, do the work. And it sounds really silly, and probably people are thinking, wow, that's really simple. But that's just how it is. It's with everything. Like, if you want to get skinny, you need to stop eating and you need to start training. And you know you need to do it, but you're still seeking on YouTube and stuff for the best diet and the best cutting diet and the best way to do cardio, because you're hoping you will find an answer that's going to blow your mind and eventually you will get success, right? And then one of the things that I really learned through my journey as well is to think long term. And it sounds, again, really silly, but it's just like one of those things where it's so simple and it can mean so much for you. And I always compare it a bit like, if you're in SMMA, it's very normal that we think we need to be making 10K in 3 months, where I'm like, you cannot even take an education that's 3 months and make 10K after that. So like, think it as a normal job or a normal education, whereas you need to do it for 5 years and then you can make maybe even 5K as a starting salary, right? Whereas in SMMA, if you do SMMA for 5 years, you do the work every single day. There's no chance after 5 years you're not sitting and chilling at like 15, 20K. There's not a chance, right? So yeah, I think you need to compare it to other educations rather than all the gurus, because obviously you and I, we're going to make videos that are clickbaity. We're going to make videos that are kind of sounding catchy, right? And that's also what I do, because that's what people want to see. But it's like, I also did a lot of work, and you also did, to make money in SMMA. It's not like we just suddenly realized that, oh, this AI software can change the game for us. So yeah, I think one of the worst things is bad influence, and I think there's a lot of it in SMMA, and that's probably also why both you and I are making YouTube videos, right? It's because we think there's too much bad influence, and yeah. So I think in general, just do your own thing, take your own journey. You are gonna learn more about yourself, and you're gonna learn the most by doing it yourself, rather than watching you and I on YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, I want people to watch my videos, but I want more than anything else to take action. And people will sit down, and like we touched on earlier, people will sit down for, hours on end watching, a Will Ross video, a Sebastian Hansen video, an Iman Gadzhi video, and, before you know it, it's been 3 hours, and that's 3 hours they could have spent doing outreach.
Exactly.
And they'll do the same thing the next day, and they'll do the same thing the next day. And they think by somehow magically watching all these YouTube videos, the inbox is going to get flooded with clients, and it's just not going to happen. And you're not going to know what it's like, or what the management it's like, or if you're even fit for it, if you're not doing it, if you're not doing the outreach, you're not landing the clients. Because, dude, you could land a meeting, and you could get in a meeting and realize, oh shit, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not fit for social media management. And it's like, people do that, but you have to go through that process and know that it's not for you, instead of wondering, it's like, yeah, maybe I could make a lot of money from this one day. All right, well, I'll just go do whatever I'm going to do now. Like, no, you have to actually sit down and do the work. So I like it. And I appreciate your dedication, man. I mean, it's rare to find a like-minded individual in SMMA nowadays, because everybody wants to get rich quick. And like you said, I like what you said about, treat it as a job, treat it as an education to where, yes, you're going to watch the videos and learn a lot, but also do outreach. If you're going to watch a video, like, dude, I still watch YouTube videos, but like after this podcast, I've got 2 hours of my day blocked out to do content work, and I'll probably throw on a podcast or like somebody's YouTube videos and like work while I'm doing it in the background. You can do both.
Yep.
It's just
Sure.
all about learned behavior. So man, that's super cool. I want to stray away from SMMA just for a second and get into YouTube.
Yeah,
Because man, it's fun, dude. It really
yeah,
is.
it is
It's a
fucking
fun
fun.
game,
Yeah,
and
I absolutely
I
love it.
love it, dude. I love it, and I think that I've had honestly more fun making and building my YouTube brand than I have building my agency.
Yeah,
Because you see the value in your clients, right? You see them being like, "Oh, Will, dude, this work that you've done is insane. Like, thank you so much, and it's really helping out my brand." But you also see the people that like join the Discord and send me a DM, and they're like, "Dude, your videos are like changing my life. I'm out doing outreach.
yeah,
I'm landing clients." Like that's such a fulfilling feeling. But it's also fulfilling feeling when you see the views count rise and you're like, oh,
yeah,
people like subscribe to me, like I'm that kid. Like
yeah,
that's super cool. I wanted to ask you, man, because I was doing a little bit of research myself, and I think you're around just under 2K subscribers. What is your plan for 2023, and how are you going to be able to double down on the value that you're adding? And I guess a better follow-up question would be, what's your end goal for 2023? Where, is there a certain amount of subscribers you're aiming for? Is there something that you'd want to achieve on YouTube, and what's your plan to do so?
yeah, yeah. And I couldn't agree more. Like, I love YouTube. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like just the journey, or is really, it's more satisfying because you can actually see numbers from the start, right? Whereas you
Mm-hmm.
can't really do that with SMMA. Of course, you can sit down and write down your outreaches, but I just love YouTube. And the funny part is, I started doing, in kind of August, I had a funny conversation with a Danish sales coach who kind of told me I should get into branding, I should get into posting daily, I should do all of this because people could obviously learn from me. And I think kind of I have a good influence in Denmark. I have a lot of people in Denmark who knows kind of who I am, because I have kind of a controversial opinion regarding how to run an SMMA, because we have
Mm-hmm.
these big gurus who's talking very much about mindset and personal life and stuff. So I think I have a good influence in Denmark, and I always had people from Denmark like appreciating what I did and how I
Mm-hmm.
posted things. So I started posting in like October. I started posting. Then November and December, I started posting daily. Hired an editor, and shout out to him. Really, really love working with him. Like 3 TikTok shorts a day. And then obviously I'm posting currently like 2 to 3 YouTube videos a week. So I started just posting slowly, and I knew it would be a grind, right? I was aiming for like 1,000 subscribers by the end of Q1, and now I'm like almost
Mm-hmm.
at 2K, and we're not even done with January, right? So I was just like posting, constantly building it up. Didn't really expect any like good knowledge or good impressions at the start. And when you run a SMMA, you know that it's eventually just about volume over enough time, as Alex Hermosi also says. Just doing
Mm-hmm.
something enough time over, or enough times over enough time, right? So I knew that I just needed to push it out, push even more, and just keep on putting in the work. So yeah, now we are at like almost 2K, yeah, and it's really great. And I also think it's satisfying. The good thing you can kind of look at with YouTube and SMMA is that you need one video on YouTube to basically go viral, which I eventually
Mm-hmm.
got, where I think it have like 25K views, which is quite
Mm-hmm.
insane. When I had 300 subs when that video were uploaded, and then
Right.
boom, upload that video, I get like 1,000 subs inside 5 days. And now it's kind of like, I don't really know. We have a goal, me and my editor. We want to hit like 100K followers across all platforms before 2024. So now I have 1,200 on Instagram. I have like 1,200 on TikTok, I think, and then
Mm-hmm.
1,800 on YouTube. So obviously there's a long way, but I think it's just more about my whole mission with my YouTube channel was to remove all these stigmas that are around the SMMA community. So all these things that you need to be a guru, you need to sit and meditate every day, you need to be known as a total monk. That's quite of why I decided to do YouTube, because I wanted to wake the world up, kind of like, come on, like wake up, you know. So I started doing that. I started posting videos that were kind of controversial, didn't really like. Of course, I got some DMs, but then it eventually blew up, and now there's people. It's like the biggest goal for my life was always to have that feeling where you're like, wow, I did this. And I think the best feeling I've ever had is when there's 16, 17, 18-year-old kids in my DMs basically saying that my daily TikTok videos and my daily YouTube videos and stuff are helping them, and it's motivating them, and they want to seek a better life. There is not any client that can pay me like 100K a month even that would give me a more satisfying feeling than that. I think having an influence on people's life in a good way is like insane. So I think my whole goal is not a certain amount of subscribers. It's not a certain amount of ads revenue coming from YouTube. Of course, we're posting a lot of content, and we are putting a lot of hours and money into the content. So of course we want to make money on it. But I for me, it's just that satisfaction of helping people that's really pushing me. And then I just think it's about like waking people up, because as I say to my friends, it's like, yeah, you go to college and then you're done with college, you take a year off, and then you go into university, and before you look around, you're 27 and you're thinking about getting kids, and then you're 30 and then you're in a house and you have a job that you can't get out of, and you wish you had started that business. Where I'm like, I don't want anyone watching my content having that feeling. Eventually they can start a business and they can know it didn't work out for them, but then they tried and they don't have that regret, right? So I think that's my whole game with content. And then like I just want to document the journey as well. I think it's fire. I always loved watching Bad on Iman's stuff. I think he nailed it. That guy, like, what a feeling he must have looking sitting in his room just looking back at his vlogs when he was 16. I wish I did that when I started.
Same, dude. Same.
Yeah. So I think it's just about like documenting the journey. I think both for me, but also others. And that's also why I have this email flow now, which is kind of my way to do that. So I'm kind of sending an email every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the whole of 2023, kind of documenting my daily activities. And also it gives me a better way of reflecting on my business, right? Because either way, I need to explain to people what I've done today. So I think just documenting your journey is kind of also the main reason why I'm doing it. So yeah, like influencing people, removing all the stigmas, waking people up is really what I want to do. And then, like, obviously we need to mention the man in the jail in Romania, right? Like looking at the impact that he's had on the world, and just in general how many lives he's probably saved and changed. It motivates me, at least, to also do it myself. And just, I like the way he's saying that people need to know who you are when you're dead. You need to kind of leave an impression on the world. And otherwise, why are we here, right? Like, you and I, we're making a good amount of money. Why wouldn't we try and motivate others and change lives and document our journey? We have the capital to invest in content. Why wouldn't we do it? And then eventually looking back when you're 60 years old and looking, wow, what a life I lived, right? That's really why I do it, so I can kind of remember the memories if I forget them, because in this SMMA days, you kind of just in your room working, grinding, right? You kind of forget that you need to be grateful. That's at least how I see it. Every day I'm like, oh, we didn't close a client today, where I'm like, why are you so ungrateful? Sometimes, right? I think we forget it. So yeah, that's really my whole goal. And as I say in all my YouTube videos, I'm not trying to sell anyone. I'm not trying to make money out of people. I'm really generally trying to help them. And then obviously, I think it's the same with you. We just want to leave an impression. That's really why we do it. Otherwise, like, I would still make YouTube videos even if I had 0 subs, right? I think it's just that lovely process. So yeah, that's really my goal. And like, you need to also have some hard thoughts, because now I've actually got my brother, who's he's in last year of like the first school. I don't know what it's called in Canada, but he's like in the last year of high school stuff. And I kind of let him post my TikTok, because I had a TikTok go viral. It had like 230K views, where I'm talking about like this tax system in Denmark, which is very controversial talking about. And the amount of hate you get on TikTok, the amount of, like, it is insane how many people that actually write comments, like almost death comments towards you, just because you have an opinion is insane. So I think we also need to kind of tell people it's not for everybody, because I was having a call today with my employee and we were kind of looking through the comments I got on my recent one, where people are like, go kill yourself and stuff like that, where I'm like, it is insane. So you also need to kind of have, you need to have a very, very easy time like pushing that out to the side. And I don't care about the hate. I always tell my friends, the more hate I get, the better. I'm doing something right, right? And that's also really one of the things that I would like say to people is that before you start posting content, you need to really think about the things that's coming with it. And I'm not really that big. I could imagine the hate some of these big guys are getting, right? Like people with finding their mom's address and stuff. I would be in. So I think it's insane that just having 1,000 followers on TikTok, posting a video that goes viral, how much hate you're getting. And as I say to people, your parents must be fucking proud of you, mate. Like, shit, wow, your parents must be proud that you can sit there and write hate comments on TikTok. Like, when you're looking back at your life, you can ask yourself, why didn't I succeed? Well, because you used your time writing hate comments to people who actually worked their ass off for something, right? So, yeah, I think there's both benefits and there's definitely also very, very bad consequences of posting content like we do, yeah.
Absolutely. I love the honesty and like the value that you're putting out there. I think the people that are in it genuinely for providing as much value as possible and genuinely trying to help people out of the financial situations that we used to be in. It's like, I picture people that like come to me and are, you know, like, hey, where do I start? How do I do it? I picture them as like, that's me a year ago. How can I like help that person get to where I am now, to where, you know, like I love this. There was a quote that Matthew McConaughey said that was like, my superhero, the person I look up to, is me in 5 years. And then in 5 years, my superhero is going to be me in 10 years. And it's like, if I can kind of instill that in somebody through my YouTube videos, and like that's what drives me every single day, and I can get that to drive them as well, then it's like, it's all worth it. I don't care if I get paid a dime. I honest to God do not care.
Yeah. And we don't really need the money, right? Like,
right. It's like, yeah, I don't need to start a YouTube. I'm not even monetized yet. You know what I mean? It's like, I could focus on my SMMA, and it's just the providing value, and the people that are in it for the value, like you and I, are going to succeed. The people that are chasing a number, that are chasing the monetization, the people that are, you know, putting out a course when they don't even have 1,000 subscribers yet, like, you know, you may have the case studies, the proof, but, you know, trying to monetize every single second of it to chase a number is not going to get you where you need to be, as opposed to providing as much value. So I love it. Sebastian, I'll wrap it up with this last question. And I love to ask this at the end of my podcast as well, but what is your revenue goal for 2023, and how are you going to achieve that?
Yeah, good question. So I think I've told my parents, and they don't believe I'm gonna hit it, but we'll see. I've
fuel to the fire, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And I always tell people, if people around you don't believe you're gonna get it, then your goal is not big enough. So my goal is to make 10 million Danish this year, and I think in dollars that's around like $1.5 million. So that's the goal. And so far it's starting off pretty well, hitting the first 40K month this month, and we are not even like halfway through it. So a lot of clients can be onboarded yet. And then the plan is to obviously build up my personal brand even bigger, and obviously help even more people. And that's pretty much the goal. Then the goal is heading the agency to around 100K profit per month in the agency, and then build up the e-com brand that I own with two friends here in Denmark as well. And then hopefully travel the world, live outside of Denmark. I want to get out of Denmark. And it's not because I don't like living here. It's just there's too much bad influence in Denmark. So planning on going to Dubai in either April or August. It depends on the e-com brand as well. Because I need to basically hear my partners out if I need to be here to sort out shipping and stuff. So it really depends. But overall the goal is to make $1.5 million this year. And then obviously, I think that's normal. By the end of this year, I'm gonna stack up in like crypto and stuff to secure the future. I think that's the best you can do, and that's also why I recommend SMMA to so many. Is that like if you can build up to 10K in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you're gonna have insane opportunities investing, because the next bull run is gonna be insane, right? It's gonna go insane. So if you can invest 80% of your profits every single month, living very, very minimal, like obviously you and I'm living home at least, so I don't really have any expenses. So I can basically invest everything, and then you can really be secure inside like 1 to 3 years if you just let the investments do the rest, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's pretty much the strategy. Dude. And the way to do that is obviously scale the agencies to 100K, and then the e-com brand as well. And then I also do have a course, but I'm not gonna monetize that at all. So yeah, the agency and the e-com brand is gonna hopefully get me there.
Absolutely, dude. I'm so looking forward to watching your journey, brother. And just from the the short time that I've been able to talk to you, I believe you'll hit it. And I love what you said about if they don't believe you, your goal's not big enough, bro. That hits for real. But Sebastian, it's been a pleasure, bro. If you aren't following Sebastian on all of his social medias, link below, brother. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.